Recently, I was visiting my family, because despite what Nancy Pelosi and the radical left Democrats want you to believe, this is still America, and it's not illegal to give thanks. Yet. So I flew across the country to see my elderly parents, while I still can. My parents seem to be taking care of my millennial nephew, or should I say my non-binary millennial nephew. Wouldn't want the PC police to come knocking at my door. As we were bowing our head to thank the Lord for our bountiful harvest, I felt something brush against my leg. When I looked down, I saw an animal, but it wasn't a normal animal, like a cow or a pig. It was a cat. Being the open-minded individual that I am, I asked my non-binary nephew why he had an animal living in his house. He said this cat was a pet. He takes care of all its basic needs. The cat lives in the house and gets fed daily by my nephew. He even cleans up the cat's bathroom waste. But what he said next may shock some viewers. The cat doesn't do anything in return. Now, if you're beginning to get a little suspicious, you're not alone. Even I was beginning to grow wary at this point. Because what I was hearing sounded suspiciously like something straight out of a Karl Marx novel. This cat did not provide any capital benefit for my nephew, and yet he was willing to care for its basic needs. This freeloading cat was given food, water, even medical care, without working a single day in its life. No doubt you are now shocked and appalled at the socialism that is taking place right under our noses. But this isn't just a case of a few bad apples. A staggering 67% of American households now participate in this communist practice, allowing freeloading cats and dogs in their house. And of course, it doesn't stop there. These PC police have made it a cancelable offense to discriminate against species. Some communists have taken in birds, reptiles, even fish. Gone are the days of animals earning their keep. We live in politically correct times where love and companionship are now enough to keep an animal alive. What's next? Do we extend the same decency to humans? Just because someone is alive means they deserve to live? Well, I don't know about you, but that's not the America I grew up in. My guest tonight, a radical leftist YouTuber known as Chris A. Mr. A, you've come out publicly in favor of feeding the hungry and housing the unhoused. My first question, why do you hate freedom? Hey everyone, my name is Chris A, and this is The End of the Bit. Have you subscribed to my channel? I would really love it if you did. It would make me so happy. You can even ding that bell icon to get notifications for when I post a new video. I would also just love it if you liked the video and commented. How about, what's your favorite rock? Let me know in the comments down below. And if I get to 10,000 likes, I'll post my favorite rock in the comments. And while we're here, you should subscribe to my Patreon. Otherwise, tell your friends about me. I could definitely use some more subscribers, and it gives me dopamine. In the year 1988, two University of Wisconsin students, Tim Keck and Christopher Johnson, founded a weekly print publication called The Onion. For 8 years, they were a print-only publication, but we don't really care about that. In 1996, The Onion launched their website, and in 2007, they started producing audio and video content for the internet. In 2013, The Onion ceased its print production and became online only. With the propagation of social media, consuming The Onion is different than it would have been even a decade ago. I don't go to theonion.com. Maybe some people do, but my primary exposure to The Onion is through social media. I scroll through and see a headline, maybe chuckle a little, double tap to like. I actually don't even follow The Onion, but I do follow some Onion-inspired sites. There's The Hard Times, which is like The Onion for rock music and its video game spin-off Hard Drive. And Reductress is The Onion for feminism. Generally speaking, these sites trade in two flavors of satire. The first is your pretty standard political and/or pop culture satire. CDC introduces new expedited quarantine period of 3 to 5 business days for $29.99. We drew these Disney princesses as size 10s, and now they are all being harassed on Twitter. The other flavor is best described as relatable humor. It's basically observational humor, but it's written as a straight-ahead news article. In my opinion, this is where these sites really shine. New age hippie chick from college, new age fascist chick now. Man postpones writing great American novel for another month or two. Yet another example of unofficial Onion spin-offs is Babylon Bee, the Onion for evangelical Christians. And its relatable Christian articles seem to be pretty reasonable. I've never been an evangelical Christian, but I imagine this is a fine joke you could tell at church. In order to appeal to suburban Christian women, vaccine to be distributed through a pyramid scheme. So let's take a look at their political or pop culture satire, shall we? A touching gesture. Kamala Harris just sent Joe Biden 17 get-well-soon puppies. Chuck Norris comes out of closet as even more of a man. Mysterious tower of missing Trump votes appears in Utah desert. But there is one headline in particular I want to discuss. AOC announces she is leaving politics to host Jeopardy! Is this a joke? Can someone tell me what the joke is? Is the joke that AOC would be a particularly bad host of Jeopardy! Or maybe a particularly good host? What qualities did Alex Trebek have that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez doesn't? Or does, but in a great quantity? Like, was Alex Trebek an outspoken capitalist? Or is there something super capitalist about Jeopardy! I mean, to be fair, it's about as capitalist as any other US game show, but it's also kind of meritocratic. Is AOC particularly not meritocratic? Maybe we should just read the article. AOC announces she is leaving politics to host Jeopardy! After expressing her frustration at Democrats for not embracing fresh progressive ideas such as communism, AOC has announced her departure from politics into the world of show business. Today it was announced that the former congressperson will replace the legendary Alex Trebek on the popular game show Jeopardy! I'm so honored to be taking over as the first birthing person of color to host Jeopardy! End quote. AOC said in a statement to the press. Hey everyone, this is Chris E. The E stands for editor, and these are my editor's notes. So this is actually the first time I had heard the expression birthing person, and I'm pretty sure this is a joke about political correctness, but I looked it up and a birthing person is just a person who can give birth. I actually really like this language. It's very precise because not all women can give birth and not all people who give birth are women. So birthing person seems like a perfect way to describe a very specific set of people. Quote, "For too long, Jeopardy! Has been a bastion of heteronormative cisgender white patriarchy and ethnocentric ideas of truth. It's totally time to change that, now." End quote. AOC was determined to be eminently qualified for the position due to her Bachelor of Arts degree in Economics and International Relations, as well as her strong speaking ability. This joke I'm not clear about because I looked it up and Alex Trebek only had a Bachelor of Arts as well, but in philosophy. So arguably AOC is more qualified because she has a Bachelor in Economics and International Relations, which are probably more frequent topics in Jeopardy! As new host, AOC will be bringing some new changes to the rules. Female contestants will be automatically awarded 30% more winnings in the name of equal pay. All contestants will be required to say Black Lives Matter at the beginning of every round. Additionally, all questions will be decolonized and will focus on communist ideology and indigenous tribal legends. Yay, said AOC, this will be so cool. Jeopardy! Will return with its new host early next year, assuming civilization survives that long. Did you figure out what the joke was in there? I want to point out here that clearly there are jokes in this article, but there's no single unifying joke that delivers on the headline. I think the joke is that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is unintelligent. I'm not sure if that's an assumption because she's Latina or a woman or working class.
People like AOC, who believes that the biggest hardship in life was figuring out whether it was still or sparkling, and you don't know hardship until you cried in the back. That's Congress these days. We cannot give these people control. We cannot give these people control.
In any case, there's not really any evidence to suggest that she's any less competent than, say, Mitch McConnell. Which means the only way to appreciate this particular piece of satire is to come to it with a preconceived notion of who AOC is. And I don't mean you need to have a general awareness about her or any of her policies. No, you need to have a preformed opinion based solely on your political identity. Because that's where we're at. Your reality is not determined by evidence, but by your political team. And what's really concerning is how much of this difference in reality is reflected in language. I once had the following conversation with a coworker while discussing transgender students' right to use a public bathroom. I just don't think girls should be forced to use the bathroom with boys. I agree. But despite us agreeing when speaking casually, our beliefs were vastly different. What I was communicating is that people should be able to use the bathroom that's consistent with their gender, and that it would be unfair to force a trans girl to use the boys' room or a trans boy to use the girls' room. What my coworker heard, however, is that cisgender girls shouldn't be subject to the possibility of sharing a bathroom with transgender girls. Because to her, when I said boys, I was describing a group that included everyone assigned male at birth, regardless of their actual gender. Which meant we weren't really communicating, we were just talking past each other. This is what a girl is. No, this is what a girl is. Do you ever get the feeling that this is what our politics has become? We seem to have devolved from disagreeing on how to solve our problems, to disagreeing what our problems even are, to disagreeing on the very meaning of words. In the United States, the left and the right disagree on the meanings of man, woman, fascism, socialism, life. Even the word they is politically loaded. Everyone's pro-life, but not everyone's pro-life. Everyone's anti-fascist, but not everyone's anti-fascist. If you believe that trans women are really men, that climate change isn't a problem, that COVID is a hoax, if you believe these people are the pinnacle of honesty and integrity, if we can't even coexist in the same reality, how are we supposed to coexist within the same society? I don't know. And that's what really scares me about the AOC hosting Jeopardy article. It's not that I don't get the joke, it's that I don't even recognize it to be a joke. And this isn't InfoWars or Breitbart or 8chan, where rejecting reality is embraced, even encouraged. This is a comedy website, and it's really no more political than most mainstream online comedy these days. Picture this. You're driving down a one-way street. All of a sudden, you see a car coming at you. Well, that driver is wrong. If you can't flag them down, someone will, or they'll crash, which isn't ideal, but eventually the problem will no longer be a problem. Except, you see another car coming at you, and another, and another. Maybe you're even starting to doubt yourself, except that most of traffic seems to be moving in the same direction as you, and the signs along the road all seem to suggest that you're moving in the right direction. But does it really matter if you're right? At this point, so many people are moving in the wrong direction, it seems unlikely that you'll be able to turn any one of them around, let alone reverse the entire flow of traffic. And I'm afraid this is where we're at, even though some of us are moving forward, at least according to all the objective evidence. How do we convince everyone moving backward that they're wrong? I don't know. Babylon Bee has plenty of articles which suggest their distrust of mainstream media, Democrats, and just the scientific community at large. And I'm sure if we had an honest conversation with their writers and editors, they would probably suggest that most folks in the US have been deceived, even brainwashed, by the mainstream media. But again, this is satire for evangelical Christians, a demographic defined by their literal interpretation of a fiction book, not to mention their penchant for Fox News, OANN, and what may be the most dishonest president in US history. We're told to worry about election fraud by those engaging in a soft coup. We're told to support law and order by the third president that's ever been impeached. We're told to reject cancel culture by those who turn their backs on their own for even the smallest indiscretion. Even the Babylon Bee itself seems to be subject to two realities. Fans of the site call it funny and effective satire, while detractors seem to believe it's satire so ineffective that it could be confused for misinformation, which is kind of supported by the fact that the president unironically tweeted out one of their stories as fact. So when someone delusional tells you you're deluded, what do? I don't know. Maybe just keep presenting the evidence in a way that's accessible to those who don't spend all their time on leftist Twitter? Which is why I'm going to be launching Ghoul Talk, things that don't mean what you think they mean. In each installment of Ghoul Talk, I'll pick out hot button words, phrases, and symbols, and I'll do my best to explain them in a way that doesn't necessarily require a ton of background knowledge. and hopefully I can make these things a little less scary.